Welcome, curious minds, to another deep dive. Today we're jumping into something really mind-bending, this idea that numbers, what if they're more than just quantities? What if they're symbols packed with meaning, connecting our everyday world to something, well, maybe more spiritual? We're going to unpack the symbolic numerology framework. It treats numbers like pieces in a huge cosmic puzzle. Our main source for this is actually a brand new book just came out, August 12, 2025. What's really fascinating, I think, is where it gets its inspiration. It looks at the Unpacking, those mysterious separate letters at the start of some Quran chapters. What is a number? Most of us see numbers as tools, counting money, telling time, measuring growth. But what if numbers are more than just tools? What if they're a secret language, hinting at deeper truths about our world? For thousands of years, people have seen numbers as symbols, patterns, and connections to something greater. Imagine seeing the number 7 everywhere, on clocks, signs, books. At first it's coincidence, but soon you wonder, does it mean something? This is the start of seeing numbers as symbols. Like a heart for love, numbers can stand for unity, balance, or mystery. This doesn't replace the practical use of numbers, it adds a new dimension, like learning a new language. Suddenly the world is filled with hidden messages and stories. Patterns in nature, dates, even phone numbers become part of a larger conversation. This essay explores a special way to understand this symbolic language, the symbolic numerology framework. It's a system that reveals the beautiful, mysterious patterns connecting everything. We'll see how numbers act as powerful symbols, not just random figures. By learning its simple rules, we uncover hidden relationships between numbers. We'll see how they connect, change, and lead us to fundamental truths. This is a journey into the heart of numbers, where they become warm, alive, and full of meaning. Numbers aren't just cold facts, they're part of a living story. Let's begin to see numbers in a new light. Welcome, curious minds, to another deep dive. Today we're jumping into something really mind-bending, this idea that numbers, what if they're more than just quantities? What if they're symbols packed with meaning, connecting our everyday world to something, well, maybe more spiritual? We're going to unpack the symbolic numerology framework. It treats numbers like pieces in a huge cosmic puzzle. Our main source for this is actually a brand new book just came out, August 12, 2025. What's really fascinating, I think, is where it gets its inspiration. It looks at the Unpacking, those mysterious separate letters at the start of some Quran chapters. It was just joined letters. Scholars have wondered about them for ages. Exactly. Just like those letters seem to stand alone but hold significance, this framework identifies certain numbers as sacred anchors, foundational, symbolic. But it's key to stress, this isn't presented as pure mathematics. The book calls it a logical, numerological system. 0 o'clock, 55.700. Speaker 1, a puzzle that reveals patterns through symbolic relationships. That's the phrase they use. It's about the symbolism, not just calculation. And the queer structure is quite neat, actually. It takes all the single digits, 1 through 9, and splits them. You got two main sets. First, the Mukata, that's 2, 3, 7. Then there are the Non-Mukata, 1, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9. And these groups aren't just random. They're governed by 3 categorical principles, things like summation, multiplication, and digit summation. We can get into those. Plus, there's this really interesting transformative operator called Mathani, means the oft repeated. It suggests these cycles. Okay, so our mission today is to figure out how this framework actually reveals these cyclical patterns, these connections, how it bridges the esoteric side of numbers with the practical. So get ready to maybe see numbers a bit differently as symbols pointing to deeper truths. All right, let's unpack this. Here's where it gets really interesting, so let's start right at the heart of it then. These Mukata numbers, 2, 3, 7. What makes these 3 so special in the system? Why them, specifically? Well, the book really positions them as the sacred anchors, like you said, echoing their namesakes from the Quran. And what's interesting, we're all prime numbers, indivisible, foundational. You can think of them symbolically, like 2 often represents duality, 3 might link to creation, 7. Well, 7 often pops up in spiritual context, right? Like the 7 heavens. Their role is really key, often act as starting points maybe, but more often as symbolic endpoints. So take a number like 34. The framework uses digit summation, so 3 plus 4, it gives you 7. Exactly. It brings you right back to 7, the Mukata. The insight isn't just the simple addition, it's the idea that complexity often resolves back to these core sacred symbols. It suggests the underlying order, almost like a symbolic gravity. 0 hours 2 minutes and 43 seconds, 620. Speaker 2. That's a really powerful idea. Okay, so if 2, 3, 7 are the foundation, the anchors, what about the others? The non-Mukata 1, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, where do they fit in the symbolic picture? They're just as vital, but they play a different role. They're framed as the bridges of connection. So, unlike the Mukata, they don't have that same core foundational weight. Instead, they mediate, they facilitate movement. Some are prime, like 1 or 5. Others are composite, 4, 6, 8, 9. They might symbolize more, let's say, practical things. Unity for 1, maybe stability for 4, abundance or structure for 8. But their real power, according to the framework, is how they help numbers shift between these categories. How so? Can you give an example? Sure, take the number 5, it's non-Mukata, but you can get 5 by adding 2 and 3, both of which are Mukatad. Exactly, it shows how even these bridge numbers, these non-Mukatad, can be derived from the Mukatad. It suggests that the, let's call it worldly, is rooted in the sacred. It's showing that deep connection, 0 hours 3 minutes and 44 seconds, 660, speaker 2. That dynamic interplay is fascinating, but how does it actually work? Are there specific rules? You mentioned principles. Yes, absolutely. The framework lays out 3 categorical principles. Think of them as the rules of engagement for these symbolic numbers. It's about what happens when you combine numbers from different categories. What category does the result fall into? So first is the principle of categorical summation. If you add 2 Mukata numbers, like 2 plus 3, you get 5, which is non-Mukata. Right. But if you add 2 non-Mukata, say 1 plus 4, you also get 5, still non-Mukata. It shows how these non-Mukata numbers often act as the result, the bridge allowing movement. Interesting. So, the category of the result isn't just a simple reflection of the input categories. That's quite different from normal math. What are the others? Then you have the principle of categorical multiplication. Here, the idea is that multiplying numbers within the same category often keeps the result or its digit sum in that category. Like 1 times 1 is 1. Non-Mukata stays non-Mukata, simple enough. But if you multiply 2 Mukantate, say 3 times 7, you get 21. Okay, and the digit sum, 2 plus 1 is 3, which is Mukantate. That's what comes back. This suggests a stability within categories, but also allows for shifts. And that ties into the third principle, digit summation. We've touched on it. This is the mechanism for reducing multi-digit numbers down to their single-digit essence, like the 34 becoming 7. Precisely. You add the digits, 3 plus 4 equals 7, it distills the number. The framework sees this as revealing the symbolic soul of the number, often pulling it back towards the Mukantab root. Okay, that makes sense, which brings us to this Mithani concept, the oft-repeated. This sounds like it's the engine driving the cycles you mentioned. It really is described that way. Mithani is presented as a symbolic operator, almost a process, designed to create these circular, repeating journeys. The name itself, again from Quranic terminology, hints at recurrence transformation. The book gives a canonical example, the template cycle. You might start with, say, 3 and 4, something to 7. That's our Makode anchor. The Mithani process then guides this 7 into a new state. Maybe it involves multiplication with a specific bridge number like 1, creating a Mithani state like 17. Okay, so 7 becomes 17, then what? Then that 17 undergoes another step. Perhaps it's doubled, leading to 34, and then digit summation, 3 plus 4. Back to 7, the loop closes. Exactly. It's less about the arithmetic itself, and more about the pattern of transformation and return. It emphasizes how those Mukata numbers like 7 here act as stable endpoints, these symbolic attractors. It's this loop that keeps reinforcing the foundational role of the Mukata numbers. Does this mean any number, if you run it through these principles or the Mithani cycle enough times, eventually lands on a 2, 3, or 7? Or can some just keep transforming indefinitely? That's a really sharp question. The framework definitely suggests a strong tendency to return to those anchors, 2, 3, 7. To see how it all fits, let's maybe take a non-Mukata number, like 8, and see how the framework integrates everything. So take 8. Under categorical summation, how could it arise? The source actually gives this example, 2 plus 3 plus 3 plus 8. Okay, 3 Mukata numbers summing to a non-Mukata. Right. It highlights 8 acting as that bridge, showing it's derived from or connected back to those foundational Mukadet inputs. It really illustrates the constant interplay, the connections, and that cyclical nature the Mithani concept emphasizes. It all ties together. Okay, so let's try and wrap our heads around this. What does it all mean? We've walked through this symbolic numerology framework looked at how it wants us to see numbers not just as counters but as symbols with depth, revealing these interconnected patterns. Yeah, stepping back, if we connect this to the bigger picture, the key takeaways seem pretty clear. You have the Mukata 2, 3, 7 acting as these fundamental sacred anchors. They symbolize core truths, and often, like we saw with 34 becoming 7, they're the symbolic endpoint. Then the non-Mukata 1, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9 are the bridges. They're crucial for facilitating shifts, showing connections between categories, whether through those categorical principles or the looping Mathani process. The emphasis really is always on the symbolic relationships and the patterns that emerge, much more than just the arithmetic itself, which leaves us with a pretty provocative thought, doesn't it? If numbers, looked at through a symbolic lens like this one, can show such intricate, meaningful patterns, well, it makes you wonder, how might you, listening right now, start to notice hidden structures or symbolic connections and other kinds of information you deal with every day, beyond just their service function? Something to think about. Keep looking for those deeper truths. Every idea has a source. The symbolic numerology framework is no exception. It traces its roots to the wisdom of ancient civilizations, where symbols and numbers were woven into the very fabric of daily life. One of its most profound inspirations comes from the Quran's Huruf al-Muqatat, those mysterious, isolated letters that appear at the beginning of certain chapters. These letters have puzzled scholars for centuries, hinting at hidden meanings and deeper truths. For generations, these letters have been regarded as more than mere text. They are seen as powerful symbols, a kind of sacred code embedded within the Quran. This perspective invites us to look beyond the surface, to see language itself as a vessel for cosmic meaning. The framework asks a pivotal question. If letters can hold such significance, can numbers also be sacred? The answer is a resounding yes. Numbers, like letters, can serve as bridges between the material and the spiritual. Within this framework, certain numbers become sacred anchors. They act as guiding lights, much like the North Star for ancient travelers, helping us navigate the vast landscape of meaning. These numbers are not chosen at random. They are selected for their unique properties and symbolic resonance. This ancient connection between symbols and numbers gives the framework its depth. Each number is a piece of a grand puzzle, contributing to a larger intricate design. On their own, numbers may seem ordinary or even mundane, but when viewed together, they reveal a hidden order and harmony that echoes throughout the universe, much like the patterns found in nature and the cosmos. The Huruf al-Muqatat remind us that our quest is not just for mathematical answers, but for meaning itself. We are seekers, looking for connections and significance in the symbols that surround us. In this journey, numbers become clues, hints that guide us through the labyrinth of existence. They are not just tools for calculation, but keys to understanding the mysteries of life. The symbolic numerology framework acts as our map. It highlights which numbers serve as key landmarks and reveals how they connect, forming a network of meaning that spans both time and space. This framework is an open invitation to play, to explore, and to uncover the secrets that numbers hold about our existence. It encourages curiosity and wonder, urging us to look deeper. With inspiration drawn from ancient symbols, we are now ready to see numbers as part of a sacred, interconnected puzzle. Each piece fits into a larger whole, revealing new layers of understanding. As we move forward, let's explore how these ancient ideas continue to shape our understanding of numbers today, bridging the wisdom of the past with the discoveries of the present. In this framework, not all numbers are equal. They're divided into two families. Think of a necklace. Some parts are dazzling gems, others are the threads holding it together. The first family is the Mukata numbers, 2, 3, and 7. These are the sacred anchors, foundations of the system. They're like the roots of a tree or the primary colors of the number universe. The second family is the non-Mukata numbers, 1, 4, 5, 6, 8, and 9. These are the bridges, dynamic connectors. They create pathways, link ideas, and keep the system alive and moving. Without bridges, the anchors would be isolated. Without anchors, the bridges would have nowhere to go. Understanding this split is key. When you see a number, ask, is it an anchor or a bridge? Mukata numbers point to stability and core truths. Non-Mukata numbers point to action and transformation. This simple division gives every number a unique role in the cosmic dance. With this foundation, we can start to see the deeper stories numbers tell. Every number, whether anchor or bridge, has a purpose in the grand design. let's look closer at the special role of the Mukata anchors. The journey continues. Let's focus on the sacred anchors, 2, 3, and 7. These numbers are more than quantities, they're symbols of core realities. 2 stands for duality and partnership, day and night, sun and moon, balance and relationship. It reminds us that nothing exists alone, everything is connected. 3 is the symbol of creation and manifestation, what's born from a pair, like a child from parents. It's the number of growth, expression, and the Trinity found in many traditions. 7 is the symbol of spiritual completion and wisdom. Think 7 days, 7 colors, 7 notes. It marks a complete cycle, rest after creation, and connection to the mysterious. These anchors are the home base, stable, meaningful, and always present. All other numbers and patterns eventually lead back to them. They're the pillars of the symbolic system. When you encounter 2, 3, or 7, you're touching the heart of the framework. Let's see how the bridges connect everything together. Now let's meet the non-Mukata numbers, 1, 4, 5, 6, 8, and 9, the bridges. They're the movers, connectors, and agents of change in the system. 1 is the initiator, the first step, the spark of a journey. 4 builds structure and foundation, creating stability. 5 brings change and freedom, breaking old patterns. 6 fosters harmony and communication, bringing things together. 8 represents power and flow, a strong two-way bridge. 9 signals completion and transition, connecting endings to new beginnings. These bridges are the verbs of the number language, describing action and connection. When you see a bridge number, you're seeing how things move and relate. Together, anchors and bridges create the living story of numbers. The first rule of connection is simple: adding numbers together, or categorical summation. Add an anchor and a bridge, like 2, partnership, and 4, structure, and you get 6, harmony. The story partnership plus structure creates harmony. Add 2 bridges, 1, beginning, and 5, change, and you get 6 again. A new beginning plus change leads to harmony. Add 2 anchors, 2, partnership, and 3, creation, and you get 5, change. When 2 sacred concepts combine, they unleash transformation. The focus isn't just the sum, but the story of how categories interact. Categorical summation lets us see how simple addition reveals deeper symbolic stories. Every combination is a narrative, anchors and bridges working together. This rule is the first step in reading the language of numbers. It's not just math, it's meaning. Let's see what happens when we multiply. The story deepens. The second rule is multiplication, categorical multiplication. Multiplying numbers amplifies their symbolic energy, creating more powerful results. Multiply 2, anchor, partnership, and 4, bridge, structure. 2 times 4 is 8, power and flow. The story partnership, amplified by structure, creates a powerful flow. Multiply 2 bridges, 4, structure, and 5, change. 4 times 5 is 20. Reduce 2 plus 0 is 2, partnership. The result points back to a fundamental anchor. Multiply 2 anchors, 2 partnership, and 7, spiritual completion. 2 times 7 is 14. Reduce 1 plus 4 is 5, change. Their union creates a blueprint for transformation. Multiplication shows how numbers interact on a grand scale, revealing dramatic, transformative stories. It's about more than calculation, it's about the energy and meaning behind the numbers. Each multiplication is a new chapter in the symbolic narrative. The framework comes alive through these connections. Now let's find the root of any number. The third rule is digit summation, reducing any number to a single digit. Add the digits of any number until you reach 1 through 9. This reveals the number's core symbolic energy. Example 35, 3 plus 5 is 8. 147, 1 plus 4 plus 7 is 12. 1 plus 2 is 3. No matter how complex, every number connects back to the 9 core symbols, anchors and bridges. This process links everyday numbers, dates, addresses, measurements, to their fundamental meanings. Digit summation is the key to unlocking the final chapter of any numerical story. It shows the ultimate destination of every calculation. The framework ensures all numbers return to their symbolic roots. With this rule, we see the big picture. Every number, no matter how large, points back to the heart of the system. Now, let's explore the cycles that bring numbers home. One of the most beautiful ideas in this framework is the concept of cycles, numbers always returning home. The Mathani operator shows how numbers move in loops, always leading back to the sacred anchors. Start with any number, multiply by 2, then reduce to a single digit. Example, 4 times 2 is 8, 8 times 2 is 16, 1 plus 6 is 7. The cycle, 4 to 8 to 7, ending at an anchor. Try 5, 5 times 2 is 10, 1 plus 0 is 1. 1 times 2 is 2, another anchor. All non-Mukata bridge numbers, 1, 4, 5, 8, lead to anchors in just a few steps. This cyclical nature is deeply symbolic. All change and action ultimately return to core truths. The universe is both dynamic and stable, always moving, always centered. Our lives, like numbers, follow patterns that guide us back to what matters most. The framework invites us to see meaning in every cycle, every return. Numbers aren't random, they're part of a meaningful journey. Listen to the silent music of numbers. Discover the hidden harmony in the world. The story of numbers is the story of existence itself. And now, you know how to read it.